Have you ever met someone who thoroughly defied your expectations, so much so that it made you adjust your own behavior? It's a certain brand of genuine kindness and thoughtfulness that you just don't expect.
Keeping that in mind, that is exactly the experience that our next guest had while traveling to Georgia to see President Jimmy Carter's boyhood home, and she ended up meeting him. With us in the Studio D this afternoon to share that story, this is Ruby Brown. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So you were in the neighborhood for a family reunion.
Yes, our family is originated in Americus, Georgia, which is just 5 minutes from his boyhood home.
Okay.
Oh, wow. And was there anything that surprised you about his home?
Yes, I was amazed because I just thought we were just going to drive by and see his house, and we had an old school bus that we used to travel around the town, and we got there, and it's now a National Historic Site, and upon entering the grounds, there was this man out there about 7 feet tall with bib overalls and a straw hat, and he was cooking in a big pot. He was making boiled peanuts. Mm-hmm. And so he said, "Come on over here, take a seat." And there were log stumps and benches that you could sit on. And he said, "Let me tell you a little about little Jimmy when he was growing up here on this farm." And so he proceeded to tell us some stories and share some things with us.
How did you meet President Carter?
Well, actually, when you go through this site, the home has been preserved, so you walk through there. We had a tour guide, and then we walked out of the building, and there was a huge conference center. And the tour guide said, "Oh, that looks like the president right there. He's with a group of politicians." And he says sometimes he will come over and meet families or guests who are visiting. So he walked over to see him, and then as he got closer, I didn't know that he was actually going to come down and meet us, so I didn't stalk him, but I was walking behind him trying to get a picture with him. But he was so kind that he came out once he was finished with that group of people. He came over and mingled with our family. Wow. It was so impressive that he cared enough about us, our family. Yes.
So what was your impression of him?
Oh, there are people that you meet who exude this sense of presence, authority. He exuded this sense of kindness. It was just palpable. You could feel it, and he was so humble. He walked around. He took as many pictures as we wanted. He never acted as if he was being in a hurry or had to leave. And he made it seem like it was an honor for him to meet us rather than us being honored. And my father at the time was in a wheelchair, and he noticed him. He was kind of on the outskirts, and he came over to him and says, "I want to meet this gentleman." He cared enough to make sure that everyone was included. And then he had his Secret Service people take pictures. And so he offered to have them take the photos for us, but he said, "I want to stand by this gentleman." Wow. That kind act. And I just kept thinking, this was a former president, the leader of the free world at one time, and he cares about us. He cares about my father. He cares about helping others. Yeah. And I can tell you, when I left there, I went online and looked up some of the things he was doing. It was so moving and so emotional that his kindness was just so genuine. It made me want to do more. Yeah. So I followed up, with some of his endeavors like Habitat for Humanity, and I made sure that I offered some support over the next few years.
So you became what he is.
Yeah, I tried to.
So we've received the news that Mr. Carter is now in hospice care.
Yes.
Why do you think that impacted all of us so much?
Well, he showed kindness, humbleness, caring, sincere caring for everyone before it became a byword. And in these last few years, there's been a huge focus on being kind. Yeah. He was already kind. And he cared about so many people, not just those in his community, not just those across the United States, but his humanitarian efforts were worldwide.
Absolutely. So would you encourage others to go down and visit those historical sites?
I think that everyone should take the time to go and visit that site, because to me it was a slice of Americana. It was like going to Opie on Mayberry's house. But the simpleness, sometimes you think about a president growing up in the lap of luxury, in a sense. It was a very simple American home that had American values, and that's what I gained, and it is certainly worth the trip.
Wow.
Yes.
Ruby Brown of
Yes.
Fruitland, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming and sharing your story.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.